everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Thoughts from Bookworm. I'm Abigail Grace. Today we're going to be talking about the last three books in the Princess Diaries series. Well, okay, technically they're not the last three. The author has since released books 11 and 12. I read about a third of the 11th book and stopped reading it. I'm very OCD when it comes to reading books, and even if I don't like the book, I will usually finish at least that book. I have even read entire series that I didn't like just because, I have to finish it. That book, book 11, it started to ruin the series and the characters for me, so I stopped reading it, and I have not read book 12. So I do not count books 11 and 12 as part of the series. Those just didn't even happen, so we're just going to ignore those. So for today, we're going to be talking about books 8, 9, and 10. Book 8, Princess on the Brink, is my least favorite. Book 8 I did not like at all, and the reason for that is I want to be careful with how I word things just because I don't know what words I'm allowed to say, but book 8 is all about Mia planning on sleeping with Michael, which up until this point the two of them have established they're not going to sleep together. They're going to kind of talk about it every couple months and figure out where each other stand, because Michael wants to, Mia doesn't, which I'm very against. I'll just say this. I'm sorry if this is offensive. I'm very against premarital stuff happening. Compound that in teenagers. There's just certain things that are not okay. And as a born again believer, I believe that certain things are reserved for married people and married people only. And sex is one of them. So that, I did not even like that it was briefly mentioned or a possibility in the earlier books, but it was very brief. This book is all about it. It opens with Michael telling Mia that he accepted a position, that he, over the summer, invented a prototype for some surgical robotic arm to help with open heart surgery patients, and he accepted a position to go to robotics lab in, I don't know how to pronounce this name in Japan, so I'm not even going to try, but he accepted a position, he's going to Japan, and he's leaving in a few days. So Mia doesn't want him to leave, so she thinks, okay, you know what? I'm going to sleep with him because then he'll stay. If he has access to that, he'll want to stay in Manhattan. So the whole book is her preparing to sleep with him. She's going to stage this romantic dinner the night before he leaves, and they're going to do it. So that's the premise of the whole book. So I have only read that book, I think, twice, because I've read the rest of the series so many times because it's a very fun series. But that book is it is fairly explicit too. Some of the stuff that is talked about is why is this in a middle school? I guess technically a high school, but why is this in a book like this? Did not appreciate that at all. The setup for books 9 and 10, because books 9 and 10 honestly are probably my favorite. I do very much enjoy books 9 and 10, but the setup that gets us into 9 and 10 is Mia finds out. So she stages this romantic dinner. She's going to plan to sleep with Michael, whatever. She finds out that night from Michael that he has already slept. He's not a virgin. He slept with Judith Gershner from book, what book was she in? 3? I think we met her in book 3. He slept with her, even though she had a boyfriend, and his reasoning that it was okay was because they were just messing around, which is such a dumb thing to say when you're talking about that, because you can't just mess around with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but you can't mess around with, you just can't. You can't just be sitting together, chit-chatting, working on your school projects, and then all of a sudden you're doing it. There's lead up to that. So you can't just mess around. And Judith had a boyfriend, didn't mean it. It was just so incredibly stupid. And I was so with Mia when she flipped out about that, because that is just disgusting and wrong on so many levels. So Mia finds out about that. She's very devastated. She's kind of always been envious of Judith because Judith is very smart. She's always been very insecure and worried that Michael really belongs with somebody like that who's smart versus Mia, who's just a princess, and she's only a princess because she was born into the right family and she didn't choose that. It's literally had nothing to do with her. So she gets very upset about that. She storms out. She's mad. She leaves. Michael's texting her all that night, all the next day, because he's then leaving the next day, which is a Friday. He's oblivious. Why is she so confused? Why is she so hurt? Which again is so stupid. Even if you don't agree with that, can you not at least see why that would be upsetting? Why telling your girlfriend that you've slept with somebody else, it didn't mean anything, and the girl you slept with had a boyfriend at the time? Can you not understand why that is upsetting? I did not understand him not understanding. That was just, I really did not like this book at all. There were nothing redeeming about this book. The end, like I said, the setup is we find out that Michael has already slept with somebody else. He comes to school, to Mia's school, to try and like explain himself. As he's walking down the hallway, Mia and JP, which JP now is miraculously in yet another graduating class. He's now in Mia's graduating class, not a year ahead of her. The two of them are coming out because they're now lab partners. Two of them are coming out, and he says something or she says something. She like is grateful to him for something, and she stretches up again to kiss him on the cheek. He turns his head at the last minute, and they kiss each other on the mouth. Michael sees that, gets mad, leaves. Mia runs after him, but she's not able to catch him. She tries to go to the airport because he then leaves directly for the airport. She tries to go to the airport. She misses his flight. So she like sends a series of texts like, I'm sorry, let's talk. And then like, that's it. There is also this whole thing with Lily, because Lily and JP were dating-ish together. Lily was super into JP. She knew all along JP was not into her. Two of them broke up. JP actually dumped Lily like at school when things were like starting to fall apart with Mia and Michael, because JP's kind of been trying to go after Mia. So Lily hears that Mia and JP kissed, even though it was like kind of an accident. Lily blows a gasket and gets upset at Mia for being a boyfriend stealer. She then says that she's not friends with Mia anymore. So now Mia has kind of been cut off from both Moscovitzes. So that's how book 8 ends. Then book 9 opens with Mia and JP going to the theater because JP came over after school, after Michael left, to try and like comfort her, like, hey, it's okay, we can just be friends type of thing. He's such a weasel. The two of them are going to the theater together. Mia's trying to like talk herself down, like, okay, everything's going to be okay. As soon as Michael lands, he'll get my text, he'll call me, we'll make up, everything will be good. So that honestly, and again, the author is really good at like making stretching nothing into like pages, because literally nothing happens in like the first half of that book. As soon as Michael lands, he gets Mia's like whatever, her text or calls or whatever. He calls her and says that he thinks they need some time apart, that they need to like cool off a little bit. So he thinks that they should just go back to being friends. That devastates Mia. She doesn't want to go back to being friends. She falls into like this like depressive episode where she starts binge eating. She doesn't leave her room. Her mom and dad get rightly very concerned about her, so they put her in therapy just to kind of like help her talk through her problems and stuff like that. So she's kind of like working through this. At the same time, there's yet another event that Grandmère springs on Mia, which is Mia speaking at Diaries, which Grandmère has been wanting to join, but she can't because she hasn't been invited. Lana's mom is part of Diaries, and by Mia agreeing to speak, she's like saving Lana's mom from humiliation because like Angelina Jolie backed out I don't know. There's like a lot that kind of goes on within that circle, but Lana and Mia start to kind of build the bridge and become friends for the first time. Lily still won't speak to Mia. Mia finds in like the Genovian archives, she finds a letter from one of like the one of her ancestors in Genovia that during this like plague time, this ancestor, her name was Amelie, she had written out a charter and like gotten it signed that basically eliminated the monarchy or the principality, because Genovia is principality of Genovia, and turning it into a democracy. That document was never found, so like Genovia is still a principality. They still have princes and princesses that are born royal. So Mia finds that document. She gives it to her dad. She's all excited that she's like potentially changing history. Her dad totally brushes it aside and tells her that it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. So Mia then springs, during her speech at Diaries, that's when she publicly announces that she is converting, that this document is legal, it's binding, and that Genovia is now a democracy. I get democracy and republics mixed up so much, but I think it's democracy. And that's how the book ends, is her bringing democracy to Genovia. She agrees to go out with JP on a date, which I think is really stupid, because all of a sudden it's been like months, which it's not been months, it's been like weeks, a month at the most, and she's already agreeing to go out with another guy, but she's supposed to still be in love with Michael. I don't know. That whole thing, like I said, it just felt very forced, the whole JP thing. I did not like it at all. Felt really forced. It also just felt that it just made Mia look stupid. That like she's such this stupid airheaded girl that she can't clearly see what's going on. I don't know. I really didn't like it. I did not like JP at all. But that is how book 9 ends. Mia and Lily are still not speaking to each other, which I'm fine with. Lily is so incredibly toxic. It's honestly surprising to me. I know these books are old. They were written in like the early 2000s, so I don't know if this was something that was like as like prominent on people's mind or what, but even if it wasn't, Lily's character is so incredibly toxic and nothing ever happens to her. Like there are no consequences to anything she does. She always gets away with it. I mean, she did lose Boris because she like made out with the busboy in front of him, but like nothing ever happens to her. When Mia calls her out on it, Lily spins it and turns it around on Mia and is a constant victim complex and blame play. I don't know. She's just so irritating. I cannot believe how irritating she is. But book 10 is Mia's getting ready to graduate. This is another inconsistency that really irritates me. So Michael and Mia broke up around September because the author has in the chapters dates of like what's happening when, September 7th at 7:55 a.m. because it's journal style. So Michael and Mia broke up around September. Then in book 10, so that they break up around September in book 9. Then in book 10 starts not the next May, like 5 months later, like the May after, so a year and a half after. During all that time, Mia and JP have been dating, and everyone, including Mia, refers to JP as her long-term boyfriend of 2 years. It's been a year and a half. It has not been 2 years, and I know it's not really that big of a deal, but they're making it sound like, oh, they've been together for years, this, and that. How could, like, it's been a year and a half. A year and a half. Like, that's not really that long for high schoolers to be dating. So that kind of irritated me that everyone was just calling it 2 years, 2 years. No, it was a year and a half. Like, it was not 2 years. Very early on in the book, we are told that Michael is back in America, which he's been in Japan for all this time. He's back in America. His prototype for his robotic surgical arm, called Cardio Arm, has launched. It's a success. He's like a millionaire overnight. He's selling this product to various hospitals. There's like a waiting list for it. The price range is $1 to $1.5 million per arm thing. So he's doing really well. Mia is like hesitant to see him again, but she also wants to see him again. I think again the author did a really good job of conveying that like Mia's with JP, but her heart is like belongs to Michael. Like it's just clear that her heart belongs to Michael. And I honestly like that kind of tension where it's like, they're going to end up getting together, but we're like building tension to it. JP, again, was just super irritating in this book. He was very self-centered, and Mia does start to see it, which I think is like about freaking time. He is very manipulative like Lily. He has been using Mia for her fame to try and like get his screenwriting thing going. He's making deals. He's using this. He's exploiting parts of Mia's life for entertainment without okaying it with Mia. Mia, meanwhile, has been working. Her big senior project has been a novel that she's been working on for this time. She says it's 2 years. It's a year and a half. She finally gets an offer of not representation, but publication because she goes through a publisher. I guess that was before you needed a literary agent to go to publishing houses or to big publishing houses. I know there are still small presses that you can go to without having representation, but like big publishing houses, you need an agent. And apparently this was before that because Mia mentions how like this one publisher that she made an offer with is like really big. So I thought that was really cool. I was really happy for Mia because again, as an aspiring author myself, I would love to be able to sell to a big publisher. That would be absolutely amazing. But Mia gets her book sold. Michael donates one of his cardio arms.
Not pledged, donated.
His cardio arm to the Genovian hospital, and Mia is like floored by that because she knows there's a long waiting list. She doesn't think that Michael is interested in her anymore because it's been a year and a half. He hasn't like made any like shows that he is still interested in her or does still have feelings for her. But she wants to thank him, so she sends him a text and like, hey, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, can I thank you in person? Let's go to lunch. So the two of them go to lunch. They have like this, super casual at first, and then kind of all of a sudden they're talking about like, oh my gosh, Mia saying it was her fault that their relationship ended. Michael finally owned up to his mistake with Judith, said it was wrong, he shouldn't have done that. Mia was totally right in being upset. Like, two of them hash things out and then, like, just kind of stop talking. Like, Mia's like, oh my gosh, why are we talking about this? Let's talk about something else. So they stop. Mia's trying to fight her feelings for Michael, and I don't really know why. I don't really know why. But she's trying to fight her feelings for Michael. She doesn't want to hurt JP. I guess that's why. That's fair. She doesn't know that JP is a jerk. So she's just not wanting to hurt him, which I think is admirable, especially if you're still dating him. Like, don't, like, cheat on him or anything like that. She and Michael end up making out on, like, one of those horse-drawn carriage things in New York. And Michael tells her that he's still in love with her and he'll wait. And so Mia is now stuck because she doesn't think that JP is a bad guy. She doesn't want to hurt him, but she's in love with Michael. So she finds out that JP had been, throughout the rest of the book, because that all happens kind of like at the 3/4 mark. So throughout the rest of the book, Mia kind of slowly starts to piece together all these things that JP has told her that she's finding out are not true, that he's been lying to her. He's been calling the paparazzi on her every time they're out so that he can get all this screen time. So the night of the prom, Mia breaks up with JP. She tells him she knows he's been lying to her. He tries to refute it, but then she's just like spitting facts at him. So he finally backs down. They break up. Mia's turning to leave and she runs into Michael, who's there. He and Mia go back to his apartment after the prom. Mia and Lily reconcile, but it was a very unsatisfying reconciliation because it was, again, Mia apologizing, which, not that Mia didn't need to apologize. There were certain things that, like, okay, yeah, she shouldn't have done that, she couldn't have done that this kind of stuff. But, like, in their relationship, Lily, as I've said, was so incredibly toxic and manipulative, and Mia takes the blame for that. She's like, oh yeah, well, I was a head case, I was this, I was that, so I can't really blame you for, behaving the way you, I don't know, it was very unsatisfying. I have no, like, feelings of sympathy for Lily. I don't feel bad for her. I think she's just she's a horrible person. I know she's fake, so it's kind of like I feel like, I don't know, like, I guess not even that I can say she's a horrible character because she was a well-written character, but she was a bad character. She was a well-written character who was bad, but there were ever no consequences for her bad behavior, which is so frustrating as a reader to constantly see this type of behavior being, like, dismissed or brushed aside or whatever. So that was really irritating. But the book ends happily ever after. Mia and Michael are together. Mia graduates high school. She takes her book deal. Michael's, on his way to being a millionaire. Like, it's just, it was a very good ending. I genuinely do like book 9 and 10. 9 it's an interesting book because it's primarily Mia being depressed. And I'm not saying, oh, I liked it because I liked that she was depressed. It felt, I don't know. I don't want to say, like, oh, it felt real and be dramatic, but it did feel real. There were parts about it that struck chords with me. I'll just say this right now, I have never struggled with depression. I've, been sad and disappointed about things. So there were, like, minor things that was like, wow, that I can understand how she feels. Like, it just felt very real. And it was one of those books where it makes me sad because breaking up with a long-term boyfriend, from Mia's perspective, breaking up with a long-term boyfriend, losing your best friend, feeling like you're losing control. I thought my light was blinking. Can be very frustrating, and I have had experiences where, like, things with the guy are ending, and it's like this feeling of just, like, desperation to do something and not being able to do it. I don't know, I'm probably being dramatic, but it has always felt like anytime I'm in a position of where, like, I need to do something or I want to do something, but I can't, it's like something is coming alive inside of me trying to claw its way out, and there's no way out. I don't know. I just think the author did a really good job conveying that feeling of desperately needing or wanting to fix something and not being able to. Like, it was just, I don't know, it was really good. It struck, again, I don't want to be dramatic, but it just struck certain chords with me that I related to, that I understood, that I thought was very well done. So I do like book 9. It makes me sad, but, like, in a weirdly good way, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but if you understand what I'm saying, I'm hoping you understand what I mean. And then book 10 makes everything worth it because there's just so much good tension in that. There's the whole Mia and JP thing, which I don't like. I don't like JP. There's the whole Mia and Michael thing. I love Michael. I love him so much. So that is where we're going to end today's episode. That wraps up the Princess Diaries series. I have not yet decided what books I want to cover yet. I have a whole list of books that I want to talk about, but I just can't decide what order, like what I want to do next. This is the hard part of doing a podcast channel where I can just talk about books as much as I want. Gotta decide. But that's where we're going to end today's video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. You're a real one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode.